Jesus came to earth to bring peace and goodwill toward men. Many did not know who he really was, but those searching for truth knew no man had ever spoken like this before. In John chapter 7, Jesus was in Galilee because the Jews in Jerusalem sought to kill him. His brothers who did not believe in him told him to go to the Feast of Tabernacles in Judea, so his disciples there could also see his works. He told them to go, and he would secretly go there later. Jews at the feast asked where he was. Some said he was a good man, while others accused him of deceiving them. No one spoke openly of him because they feared the Jews who marveled at his learning when he taught in the temple, knowing only those who studied the Torah had time to learn God's word. Jesus said, "My doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me." Jesus said they did not keep the law of Moses and asked, "Why go ye about to kill me?" They said he had a devil, which meant they thought he was crazy. And he said, "I have done one work, and ye all marvel." These hypocritical Jews believed only they could make spiritual judgments about the law of Moses, which gave the law of circumcision. They approved of a man being circumcised on the Sabbath, but condemned Jesus for healing on that day. Jesus spoke boldly, and some asked, "Is not this he whom they seek to kill?" Their rulers said nothing, and they asked if they knew if he was the very Christ. "When Christ cometh, will he do more miracles than these which this man hath done?" Jesus said, "I am not come of myself, but he that sent me is true, whom ye know not. But I know him, for I am from him." The Pharisees and chief priests sent officers, but no man laid hands on him, because his hour was not yet come. He said, "Yet a little while am I with you, and then I go unto him that sent me. Ye shall seek and not find me, and where I am ye cannot come." The last day of the feast, Jesus said, "If any man thirst, let him come unto me and drink. He that believeth on me, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water," referring to the Spirit his believers would receive, but had not been given to them yet because he had not yet been glorified. Some said, "Of a truth this is the prophet, the Christ." And others asked, "Shall Christ come out of Galilee?" Christ cometh of the seed of David from Bethlehem. The chief priests, officers, and Pharisees asked why he had not been brought to them, and were told that no man had ever spoken like him. Nicodemus, who'd come to Jesus by night, asked, "Doth our law judge any man before it hear him, and know what he doeth?" In John chapter 8, Jesus went to the Mount of Olives, then taught in the temple. Scribes and Pharisees brought a woman in their midst and said, "Master, this woman was taken in the very act of adultery. Moses commanded us that such should be stoned, but what sayest thou?" Jesus acted as if he had not heard them, and stooped down to write with his finger on the ground. They asked him again, and he stood and said, "He that is without sin among you, let him first cast a stone at her." They were convinced by their own conscience, and went out one by one from the eldest to the last. Jesus was left alone with her and asked, "Where are those thine accusers? Hath no man condemned thee?" She said, "No man, Lord." And he said, "Neither do I condemn thee. Go and sin no more." Jesus said, "I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but have the light of life." The Pharisees said he bore a record of himself that was not true, but Jesus said it was true. He knew where he came from and where we would go, but they could not tell. He quoted their law that the testimony of two men was true. "I am one that bear witness of myself, and the Father that sent me beareth witness of me." They asked, "Where is thy Father?" And he said, "Ye neither know me nor my Father. If ye had known me, ye should have known my Father also. I go my way, and ye shall seek me, and die in your sins. Whither I go, ye cannot come." The Jews asked if he would kill himself, and he said, "Ye are from beneath, I am from above. Ye are of this world, I am not of this world." They asked who he was, and he said, "Even the same that I said from the beginning. I have many things to say and judge of you, but he that sent me is true, and I speak to the world those things which I have heard of him." They did not understand he spoke of the Father. "When ye have lifted up the Son of Man, then shall ye know that I am he. I do nothing of myself, but as my Father taught me, for I do always those things that please him." Many believed, and Jesus said, "If ye continue in my word, ye are my disciples. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." He said whoever committed sin was the servant of sin, and the Son would make them free. They said they were Abraham's seed and asked how they would be made free when they were never in bondage. Jesus said if they were Abraham's children, they would do his work, but they sought to kill him because his word had no place in them. When he said they did the deeds of their father, they said they had one Father, even God. Jesus said, "If God were your Father, ye would love me, for I came from God." He asked why they did not understand his speech or hear his word, and said they were of and would do the lusts of their father the devil, who was a murderer from the beginning, did not abide in truth, and was the father of lies. Jesus asked why the Jews did not believe when he told them the truth. Whoever was of God heard his words, but they were not of him and did not hear them. They asked if he was a Samaritan and had a devil. And Jesus said, "I honor my Father, and ye dishonor me." He said a man would not see death if he kept his saying. And they said he had a devil because Abraham and the prophets were dead, and asked if he were greater than them. Jesus said their father Abraham rejoiced and was glad to see his day. When they asked how he knew Abraham, since he was not yet 50 years old, he said, "Before Abraham was, I am." They took up stones to cast at him, but he hid, went from the temple, and passed through them. In John chapter 9, Jesus saw a man who was blind from birth, and his disciples asked, "Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" He said that neither had sinned, but this was so the works of God should be made manifest in him. He said he must work the works of who had sent him while it was still day, before the night came, when no man could work. He said, "As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world." Jesus spit on the ground, made clay of it, and anointed the blind man's eyes. He told him to wash in the pool of Siloam, which he did, and could now see. Those who knew him asked how his eyes were opened, and he said a man called Jesus made clay, anointed his eyes, said to wash at the pool, and he received his sight. It was the Sabbath, and Pharisees asked how he'd received his sight. He told them, and they said, "This man is not of God, because he keepeth not the Sabbath," and asked how a sinner could do such miracles. He said Jesus was a prophet, but they did not believe he'd been blind, and called for his parents. They knew whoever said that Jesus was the Christ would be put out of the synagogue, and said their son was born blind, and they did not know how his eyes were opened, or who had healed him. But since he was of age, he should speak for himself. The Pharisees said, "Give God the praise. We know this man is a sinner." The man said, "Whether he be a sinner or no, I know not. One thing I know, whereas I was blind, now I see." They asked again how Jesus opened his eyes, and he said he'd already told them, but they didn't want to hear it. He asked if they wanted to be Jesus' disciples, and they said, "Thou art his disciple, but we are Moses' disciples. We know God spake unto Moses. As for this fellow, we know not from whence he is." He said, "Since the world began, was it not heard that any man opened the eyes of one that was born blind? If this man were not of God, he could do nothing." The Pharisees said, "Thou wast born in sins, and dost thou teach us?" Then cast him out. Jesus heard he was cast out, and asked him, "Dost thou believe on the Son of God?" The man asked, "Who is he, Lord, that I might believe on him?" And Jesus said he had both seen him and was now talking with him. He said, "Lord, I believe," and worshipped him. Jesus said that he came to the world for judgment, that those who saw not might see, and those who saw might be made blind. The Pharisees asked, "Are we blind also?" And Jesus said, "If ye were blind, ye should have no sin. But now ye say, We see, therefore your sin remaineth." In John chapter 10, Jesus told a parable. "He that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way, is a thief and a robber. But he that entereth in by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. He said the sheep heard and knew their shepherd's voice when he called them by name, and would follow him, but would flee from a stranger's voice. When the people did not understand, Jesus said, I am the door of the sheep. All that came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. If any man enter in, he shall be saved. Go in and out, and find pasture. The thief came to steal, kill, and destroy, but he had come that they might have more abundant life. Jesus said, I am the good shepherd that giveth his life for the sheep. While when a hireling who is not the shepherd saw a wolf, he would flee, and the wolf would catch and scatter the sheep. Jesus said, as the Father knew him, he knew the Father, and received his commandment to lay down his life for the sheep. And other sheep I have, which are not of this fold. Them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd. His Father loved him because he willingly laid down his life, and would take it up again, while no man took it from him. This divided the Jews, who said he had a devil, and was mad, and others asked if a devil could open the eyes of the blind. Jesus walked in the temple at the Jerusalem winter feast, and the Jews asked him to plainly tell them if he was the Christ. He said, I told you, and ye believe not. The works I do in my Father's name bear witness of me. He said they did not believe because they were not his sheep, who heard his voice and followed him. They took up stones to kill him, and he said, Many good works I shewed you from my Father. For which of these do you stone me? They said they would not stone him for a good work, but for blasphemy, because he, being a man, made himself God. Jesus said if he did not do the works of his Father, they should not believe him. But if he did them, they should know and believe the Father was in him. When they tried to take him, he escaped and went beyond Jordan, where John baptized. Many believed him and said, John did no miracle, but all things that John spake of this man were true. And this is John chapter 7 through 10 in the New Testament. Look for hidden images located in the video. You can support Ponderfun by visiting our Etsy site, ponderfun.com website, and our Facebook page to find more fun things to do. Please like and share these videos with anyone you think might enjoy them. Also, please subscribe to this Ponderfun YouTube channel. Thanks again for watching, and find some time this week to ponder.